Don't stop.
Hi, thanks so much for joining me on the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. Over the past, couple of months, I've been thinking about where do I want to live? Do I want to stay like in the Boston area? Do I want to move north of Boston? I definitely want to stay in the Northeast. Do I want to move south? We've been looking at different real estate. We're renting currently and we want to buy. And, we're ready to buy. We're going to wait till after midterm elections, though, just to make sure that that we can stay in this country. We want to make sure that same-sex marriage is still going to be legal, even though it would be legal in Massachusetts still. But, a lot of LGBTQ plus rights are being taken away. There's a lot of anti-trans bills that are out there. And I mean, Texas, thank God I don't live there anymore. They're really like bathroom bans, and South Carolina is doing the same thing for transgender people, not letting people be themselves and stuff. And it's really insane to me how much this current administration is focusing on anti-LGBT and especially anti-trans. Like it's really insane to me. The Supreme Court is looking at taking the case from Kim Davis about, doing the same thing, overturning same-sex marriage the way they did abortion. And so we will know about that in the month of October, about if they're going to take the case or not. Analysts are saying they're not going to take the case, so let's just hope that they don't. But it's definitely in the back of my mind most of the day. But going back to the reason why I've been thinking about I want to move, but I like being able to jump in an Uber and be at the airport in 12 minutes, or jumping in an Uber and being in Boston and, the Seaport area in 10 minutes. So I like that convenience of it. I don't currently have a car, but I have to say I miss having a car. I don't have a car because I don't need a car where I'm living. And I work from home, and it would end up being an expense that's just stupid to have. But I also think about, like, I moved to, let's say, north of Boston, and we went up north of Boston to meet some friends for dinner to see a show a few weeks ago. And it felt really far to me. I mean, it took 40 minutes to get up there. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but that was 40 minutes without traffic. And Boston's traffic is just insane. So thinking, like, if I ever had to get a job to go back to an office, like, what would my commute be like? If I want to meet friends for dinner in Boston, like, what's the Uber going to cost? Do you drive down? You can't really go out and have a night in Boston driving, because if you drink, who wants to get a DUI or kill somebody? So you need to take an Uber when you go out. And so I'm just like, am I ready at this point in my life to actually kind of like say, yes, let's move, and get out of here? But I think about, like, I don't have any friends. Like, we moved north of Boston 40 minutes, 45 minutes. I have friends, but I don't have any gay friends up there. And so I got to make a whole new gay friends. But I just did this interview with this guy, Alex, and we were talking about my friends. And I actually realized maybe I need new gay friends. And we're talking about my P-Town trip that I went with. All my friends were on Grindr, and they're looking for hookups and looking for this. And I'm just like, I'm in a monogamous relationship. I'm not looking for hookups. And so, the guy he's like, Zach, it sounds like you need to maybe look for some new friends. So I think maybe he could be right. So that's been in the back of my mind too. Like, if I moved north of the city, what do I do? Do I, you have to, where do you meet friends at? And when you're older, when you're an adult, where do you meet friends? So, but I have a friend that told me that north of Boston, there's a lot of gay guys, there's a lot of gay people, a lot of LGBTQ plus community. So, maybe it's just a new community, because Boston gays are not friendly. And you will hear this in my interview. Me and Alex, who you were getting ready to hear, he was from Boston, and he said, yeah, gays are not super friendly in Boston. And he said it's different in Chicago. And I said in New York, it was the same thing. gays in New York are so friendly. You walk into a bar, you can walk out literally with 20 BFFs by the time you walk out because people are just much more open and friendly and open to meeting people. And Boston gays are so uptight and, I don't know. If you are a Boston gay and you're listening to this and you agree with me or you don't agree with me, leave me a comment. Go to my Instagram. Tell me why Boston gays are so in such big cliques and why they don't want anybody else to be in there. It's like they all grew up here. They didn't leave and they have had the same friends their entire life and they don't want to let anybody else in. It's like they're suspicious of somebody. So, and Alex and I talked about, he wrote an article. He is a writer, a journalist for Queerty. And I think I think he's awesome. I read his article. I've seen other things that he's written. And when I just met him on this, he's an awesome personality. Like he's a great, great guy. And I'm so glad I got to interview him. I invited him back on whenever he has something new because I think he's talented. And I think he's a good guy. And I wish he lived in Boston because I'd be his friend if he lived here. But he's living in Chicago now. And we talked about using Grindr as a way to meet friends. And he's like, yeah, people do that, but they hook up with them, then they become friends. So I'm not doing that. And then there's these apps, Sniffies and stuff, and you're definitely not going on there to meet friends. But like literally all of my friends that are gay, but one, and he says he's in a committed relationship. I'm not 100% sure if he is, but he says he's not on Grindr, and he says he's in a monogamous committed relationship. I think he is most of the time, but he's a little tricky, so who knows? But he's the only one that's not on these apps. So I don't know. I have a lot of straight friends that I hang out with. Shout out to my friend Amy. Shout out to Holly. Shout out to my friends. So and they're not on the apps like that. So I don't know. Gay men are just horny and just like need sex and constant attention. And these apps are addicting. They are addictive. I mean, I am addicted to TikTok and Instagram, so I know what addiction for apps are like. So I couldn't imagine like looking for a boyfriend or looking for a hookup in this day and age. And like, it's a constant like, oh, I'll find somebody better. But listen to my conversation with Alex. We kind of break it down, and he's the expert. And I thought he was just really fantastic. And I will put his bio to his Queerty profile in there and read his articles. And I'll put his X link to, he has an X account too, and I'll link to that as well. So enjoy the show with Alex. And we are talking all about Grindr and apps and how people are addicted and the gayborhoods are moving out and everybody's moving to Grindr as their new gayborhood. So enjoy the show. Thanks. Hi, thanks for joining me on the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman, and today I have a new guest. His name is Alex Reimer, and I actually lived in the same town he grew up in Massachusetts, and for some reason he popped up on my Facebook page of people you should know or suggested friends or something. I'm hardly even on Facebook, but he had a public post where he wrote an article about Grindr, and I had to look at it. So welcome to the show, Alex.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah, the algorithm, sometimes it works magic. What can I say?
Yeah, exactly. So you're a writer for Queerty, and you wrote an article about Grindr. And so I'll just tell you, so you know, that I've been in a relationship for 27 years with the same guy, monogamous. So we never had the whole Grindr experience. So, but I'll say that we met in New York City when we both lived there. We met on America Online, so the old school Grindr, which was a chat room, hooking up, dial up. He sent me his law school photo. It took like 10 minutes to download, and it was just like, and it was a hookup for one night. I thought it was going to be, and then it was like, here we are 27 years later. So,
hey, I used to peruse those chat rooms too, male for male.
Good stuff. Exactly. We were male for male, New York City, Upper East Side, and that's how we met. So, so Alex, you wrote an article about Grindr. Tell my listeners a little bit about what the article was about.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. And, I really appreciate you having me on, of course. So the article really is about this this dichotomy that we see all the time, that everybody is always complaining about Grindr. If you search Grindr on any social media platform, you're going to see people complaining about, usability, the pop-up ads, having to pay for everything now, including even seeing who taps you. Like, nobody is enjoying this experience, it seems like. Yet Grindr is so ubiquitous, almost 15 million active monthly users now. Wow. That's their data, but still, I mean, this app just gets bigger and bigger. The experience just gets worse. So I went into the story with the question, why? Everyone says they hate this app, but why can't they quit it? And that's what I explored during the piece.
And what did you kind of learn whenever you put this article out? Did you get people that came back and talking about it? I mean, and I have a lot of questions for you about the addiction that my friends have with this app. So what did you get back from it?
It really is not a story about Grindr more than it's really a story about the state of play being a young person and a young single person as well in the United States in 2025. I mean, I interviewed a guy named Jamie Wu, who's the literal author on the book of Grindr, the history of Grindr. And he likened, paying $20 per month or whatever it is for Grindr Extra to ordering that $35 DoorDash burrito. It's like this, the sweet treat economy. We're all living this kind of basic economy existence where we can't really save up for retirement. We can't save up to buy a house. So what do? We give ourselves these little indulgences and this need to order, pay for Grindr, be on Grindr, scroll the grid. It really is this way to kind of indulge ourselves. And the other part of it too is, of course, people like hooking up. But like everything, hooking up has moved to the digital space, and you really have the decline of gayborhoods, the decline of gay meeting spaces. In Grindr, it's kind of dystopian, I think. I interviewed their chief product officer, this guy, AJ Balance, and he said, we want to be the global gayborhood in your pocket. And it kind of is, because the physical gayborhood doesn't really exist. And if it does exist, it's gentrified with strollers. So, it's really a story, I think, about a lot of things, not just Grindr itself.
Yeah, I mean, so I just went to Cape Cod, to P-Town for a week with friends. And so my friends that are single were constantly on it. Like, we were at dinner, we were at the tea dance, we were walking down the street, we were sitting by the pool. Right. It's a constant scroll. And then my friends that are in open relationships, it's the same thing. They're all sitting there. It's like the whole trip, I feel like all they were doing is searching for dick the entire trip.
Right. And it's like, open your eyes, the dick is all around you. You're in
exactly. Like, I'm like, we all live in separate cities. And so like, they live in New York and everybody lives in a different city. So we're all coming together to P-Town to spend a week together. And yet you're on, you're doing nothing but like looking for the next hookup. And some of them like were hooking up with multiple people a day, which is like, I mean.
Okay, but they were hooking up. Like, they were actually going in and hooking up.
Yeah, they were, but yes, they were going in and hooking up, but sometimes it feels like one of them was just kind of scrolling, I felt, just because they're addicted to it. I feel like they just got to see. And then one of them said at one point, like, oh yeah, I found somebody, but I need to see if there could be somebody better, because it's not like exactly who I want. And it's like you're always looking for the next better thing. One of them,
you nailed it.
Yeah. It's crazy though, but then at the end of the trip, they're all like sad and upset because they don't have a boyfriend. But I'm like, all you were doing is looking for sex the whole time, like a hookup. So, I mean, like, I get it. When I was single, I was a slut and I was, hooking up all the time and stuff. I get it. But I also wasn't living in the age of an app on my phone where I'm hanging out with my friends and I'm at dinner and I'm the only one sitting there not on my phone at dinner. And I'm just like,
right.
Why are we here? Like, you should just be back in your room or your Airbnb, like just scrolling, or go to the Dick Doc and like find somebody there. Then, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, real quickly, I just want to add, like, that point I asked, like, were they actually going and hooking up? Because what I found, and I've done this a lot in my life too, is like, as you said, it's this addiction of this like quick, very low stakes dopamine hit where you're not really intending to hook up with anybody. You're just kind of scrolling. Like here in Chicago, we have Steamworks, our famous bathhouse. And, I went for the first time over Market Days weekend and just kind of like strolling around in there. And I was like, wow, this is like so much better than Sniffies because if you want to hook up, like you can do it, you're there, you're done, and you move on versus
Yeah.
like you're on all these apps and you're playing this like constant game. So like that's the thing, right? Like Grindr and all these geolocation apps were initially introduced for the purpose of finding someone to hook up and then getting off them. But now, like all these apps and platforms, they want engagement time. So like,
Yeah.
the goal is like to keep you on the app, which, yeah, it's weird.
And I just did an article because I do a news podcast too. I just did an article yesterday that the news came out today, and they're saying that Grindr is using AI now as part of their platform, and people that do not want AI because they don't want it collecting their personal data. They're losing their privacy on Grindr, so people are like upset about it. So, have you heard about that yet? I think it just came out.
Yeah, they've been trying this like AI wingman for a while. I'm gonna be honest, I don't like completely understand it. But I think, but I think the purpose of it is to like summarize chats for you. They say it can give you suggested lines to say to someone if the conversation is stalling. Like basically, I guess be your digital wingman.
Okay.
Which to me, I mean, look, if you need an AI wingman to figure out, how to ask for pics on Grindr, like I don't know what
exactly. to say. Maybe you should, yeah. I mean, do you think that we're losing the whole like in person, like when you said they want this to be the new gayborhood, like I don't love that, like because I'm not on Grindr.
Yep.
And so it's fun to go out to a bar and meet new people and have a social, I mean, do I need to join Grindr just to make new friends?
Totally, yeah. But the default move is at a lot of these gay bars, like you go in and you sit down and you pull up Grindr. Like that's kind of the move. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's like completely taking over. And then I have a friend that showed me Sniffies. Again, I'm not on any of these apps, and I can't believe what's happening on there. Like it's really like he pulled it out. He was at my house. He's like, "Let's see what's in your neighborhood," and he pulled it up, and there's like a guy, 2 blocks away, having like, he wants 35 guys to come over one night and give him and gangbang him and stuff. And I'm just like,
come and go.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I respect it. Do whatever you want. But I'm just like, I don't know. It makes me feel so out of the loop on everything now because.
You want to know what people in your neighborhood are up to, Zach? Log on to Sniffies.
I mean, there's a guy
everyone's assets are and, make a judgment.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Do you think that people are actually going on Grindr and finding successful relationships though, or do you think it's all still hookups?
Oh no, I think a lot of people find successful relationships. Me and my boyfriend met on the apps. We met for a drink off of Grindr and Hinge. Like we messaged on Hinge, but Hinge is like very slow. I mean, slow moving, as I say. So then I followed up with him. He was also on my grid, so we got a drink. So yeah, I mean, look, I think that you can foster like real connections. And to go back to my piece, like I had a lot of people who use Grindr message me and say, hey, like, this is how I meet hookups. This is how I meet friends. Like, I feel like there aren't as many barriers there as there are in other spaces. And like, if you're traveling, especially, and I do this and have done this as well, like you're in a city, you want to even like go out for a night, like log on to Grindr, you can do that. So yeah, I think there are like ways that people use it to augment their real experience, just like Instagram and Twitter and all this stuff. Yeah, so I do think there are examples of that for sure.
I feel like if I went on Grindr though, I guess I just think of it as like it's all about like the hookup though. Like I don't see people going on there meeting friends, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, but like the hookup can become a friend.
Okay.
Yeah,
right? We're monogamous, so I'm not hooking up. So that's the thing. So
yeah, but I mean, like a lot of like my friends, like I first met them from hooking up. Like I think it's so.
Yeah, I get it. And we'll be right back. Okay, and now back to the show. And what do you think about like the old dating apps like Match and Hinge and all those? Do you think those are just going away and like people are just going to Sniffies and Grindr and Scruff and those type of apps instead?
Yeah, I mean, totally. And to be honest, like even like I think Sniffies is the one that everyone is on, Zach. It's what all the kids are doing.
Okay.
No. Sniffies is the most. I think it's the most it's the most subversive one, right? I mean, you've been on. It's very dirty. It's just dick, 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 dick,
Yeah.
like whole dick. Like there's no pretense on there. And I think people like the subversive element of it. And like here in Chicago, Sniffies sponsors a lot of gay events. There's Sniffies merch. It's very current. They have like the baggy, they have the jorts, they have the tanks, they have like the muscle tees. Like it's very like Y2K. It's like they're really like playing into this aesthetic kind of,
Yeah.
And another article I read that you would probably find interesting was a New York magazine this summer called something like that we reached the peak era of gay sluttiness. And it was a really great piece. And kind of the genesis of it was that, while we're living in this increasingly repressive and authoritarian country, there are rich white gays in major metros, New York, LA, etc., Chicago, who are having more sex than ever. They are, using their doxy pep. They are, so STIs aren't a worry as much anymore. They are on Sniffies. You go to like parties, there's Sniffies like on a big board, and it is like very just decadent behavior. Yeah. And the Sniffies merch is a big part of it too. But then the other question is, right, like if you're a 25-year-old and you're wearing a hat that says like cum dump on it, like, are you actually a cum dump or are you like cosplaying as a cum dump? So there's, I think a lot of this stuff veers into performance, and we see that even with Grindr screenshots are their own social media currency now. Snippy screenshots are a thing. So the other part of these apps is like our online personas are becoming are not as separated from our real personas as they once were. They're increasingly meshed. They're together. And just like people's Instagram persona is part of their personality, I think now people's like Grindr and Sniffies personas especially are part of their personalities too. It comes into this one digital performance.
Do you think people are losing their social skills though? Like how to actually interact with people in person or to meet people in person?
Yeah, I mean, I think like everybody, like it's easier to not socialize so fewer people are doing it. I will say like my personal experiences, I'm curious about yours, like don't really match this. Like I, play in gay sports leagues. Yeah. My friends and I go out all the time. Like we go on vacations together. We're always doing things. So, and there's still like, and you go to like Boys Town here in Chicago on a Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, like it's packed. So like tons of people are still going out and still socializing, but to bring in like the Sniffies merch, like these apps are now like just intermixed in part of the overall scene, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, Boston gays are not friendly, as you know, being from here. They are like, there's cliques here, and unless you were like in that, they're the most, like when I lived in New York, I could walk into a bar and like make 25 best friends in New York. And how's Chicago compared to Boston? Are people more friendly?
Nicer. Yeah, way nicer. Yeah, Boston, like, and I was guilty of it too.
Why are the gays so like not standoffish here?
Because they're wearing like polos and khaki pants. Like they're just stiff. I don't know what to tell you. No, Boston, look, like if you're a new person in Boston and you walk into a bar, you are eyed with suspicion, you know, whereas I think elsewhere people are more open to meeting new people.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think it just surprised everybody that has, all my friends that have moved here from New York, like hated it and left. A lot of them left because they're like, the gays here just are not friendly, and they're just not into it. So
yeah, I think it's like it's maybe our puritanical roots. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. What do you think about kind of couples using the apps? Because like I said, whenever I was in Provincetown this past summer, there was a couple that I was with, and they are open in an open relationship, and they were like not looking to hook up together. They were looking to hook up with separate guys. Like, do you think that's common as well?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I think open relationships, at least from my experience, are the norm.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. If you have clear communication and it works for both people, I think why not go for it?
Yeah.
And like everything, like sex is now more accessible than ever. So I think it makes sense that open relationships are probably more common than ever. I don't know.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on being a monogamous person? Do you feel like there's kind of like judgment that's exercised sometimes on you?
I think there is a little bit, yeah. So I think whenever we first met, it was open relationships were not common, or they weren't talked about, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably more it.
Yeah, but now we are definitely judged for being monogamous. Like when we were going back to the P Town story, when all my friends were sitting there on their apps, I'm like, "Hi, I'm sitting here. Like, why aren't we like hanging out and talking and stuff?" And the response was, "Just download Grinder and you can just see what we're doing and stuff." I'm like, "I don't want to. I don't care what you're doing. Like, I'm not going to hook up." They're like, "Oh yeah, maybe you'll meet a friend." I'm like, "I'm here with all my friends. Like, why? I'm here with 9 of you. Like, what's the deal? Like, why can't you put the fucking phone down for an hour while we are sitting here having drinks?" But it's just like a constant, like, I don't know. It's like it's a competition to see who can get the most hookups sometimes too, I feel. So it's bizarre.
Oh, Zach, are you in the market for the new friends? Sounds like it.
Maybe I need to. I mean, I'll have to say I left P Town not like looking forward to going back next year because we go every year. So I think I either need to find a new group of friends to go to P Town with. And like, look, if you want to have sex and you want to do that's great, do it. Like I'm a good wingman too. Like I hook my friends up at tea dance and I walk up to people and say, "My friend thinks you're hot. Come and talk to them." So I'm all about hooking up and all that.
Vital. Yeah.
But I also think there's a time whenever you're like sitting there having drinks, you and your friend, or you're having a dinner with everybody, like put the phone down and just like talk instead of like looking to see like who you're going to fuck after dinner.
I know, but I think, Zach, that's like more of a phone issue than a Grindr issue. Like, what's the saying? The Grindr's like the symptom, not the cause.
Yeah.
I think that's really it. Like, I had a friend who like he would always just I called it like he would do his rounds on the phone, like every few minutes, pick up. He's like he's Instagram, he's X, he's Grindr, just like so. I think it's like they're maybe they don't even know they're doing it. They're just so impulsive and. Just like
I mean, I'm guilty of that too with Instagram and stuff where I'm like constantly picking it up and I'm like, I just looked 5 minutes ago. Like sometimes I catch myself.
Right. It's like 5 minutes on a Wednesday afternoon. Like nothing new is happening there.
And then forget it. When I get on TikTok, I'm like, I'm only going to do this for 10 minutes. And it's like 2.5 hours later, I'm like scrolled through, 5,000 videos. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like,
I have largely avoided TikTok. Maybe I shouldn't say that as like a journalist these days. That probably makes me sound like I'm 78 years old.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've largely avoided it. So.
I think you're good by avoiding it. So, I mean, it's so addictive.
I think that's where the culture is happening.
Yeah. Maybe you should do a story on TikTok on the addiction of that. So.
Well, I mean, I think... not to get too serious here, but I think that like that's going to be a big problem given the new American ownership of TikTok. You have all these Trump-friendly billionaires like Larry Ellison and Lachlan Murdoch might be involved too. So I don't know if they're going to control the algorithm. That seems to still be uncertain, but I got to imagine if they're the majority investors in the U.S. version, they'll have some say over the algorithm. And what does that mean for trans content creators? Queer content. I think it's pretty scary. And I think it's like another sign of why it's so bad that we're so addicted to these platforms. And again, like it's not just a Grindr thing, right? Like Twitter is Elon Musk, Meta, Zuckerberg. I mean, we're really beholden to these billionaire, tech guys, tech bros. And Grindr is part of that too. Like it's scary.
What is your thought whenever they reported at the RNC that when they had the Republican National Convention, Grindr crashed, and then they just said at the Charlie Kirk Memorial in Arizona, same thing. Then they said maybe it didn't crash, but there was just like a high usage. So I should just preface that.
I wrote about the Charlie Kirk thing last week.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, Zach. As much as I want to believe Grindr crashed at the Charlie Kirk funeral, I think we might have had some false reports trickle in as well, which I acknowledged in my article, but still, like, it's funny, and I'm going to go with it that Grindr crashed.
I mean, if you look at, I'm not going to like name names because I don't want to get sued, but if you like, they're coming out, well, I'll just say one because they just came out with a report on it, like Marco Rubio, they're like, he's in the closet and he got arrested in the 90s in Miami cruising at a park. Like there's public, record of this. Yes.
Really?
He in the 90s, there's a cruising park and because I grew up in Miami, and I know where the park
Okay.
was, and it was in the 90s, and the person he got arrested with is now like a porn actor or something, a gay porn actor. So look it up. There's a podcast called I've Had It, and they reported on it, and they did
Yes,
all
Jennifer
this.
Welch. I know her. I know her.
Yes, so they just did an episode about Marco Rubio, and there are, everybody, Lindsey Graham for years has been known as Ladybug, Miss Ladybug, and all this other stuff. So, I mean, it's like the most homophobic ones are the ones that are always in the closet, it seems. So,
Always self-hating, right? That's what they say.
yeah, exactly. What do you have coming up that you're kind of doing your research on, and your new articles coming up that we can look forward to?
But yeah, thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. So always covering gay athletes at Queerty. That's one of my beats, the sports and fitness beat. So always have a lot of cool interviews with people from weekend warriors to Olympians, really elevating queer participation in sports. Yeah, and coming up also on Queerty, heading a series called Out for Good, where we profile notable figures who have come out over the last year. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, articles about Grindr, Sniffies, politics, really anything, Zach. I try to give the people what they want. I want to write about P-Town too, because the Globe had an article about the Nantucketization of P-Town.
I just seen that.
Which, yeah.
Yeah, because they're getting ready to build this huge hotel. I mean, that if it gets approved, I have to say, P-Town did feel a little different this year. I went over Labor Day week, and there were a lot of baby strollers and stuff. So a lot of, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I've been going to P-Town for over 20 years, and I really hope it doesn't lose that charm.
Have you seen it change dramatically over that time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt more raw, and I mean, it's still, I lived in Miami Beach in the 90s, and when it was super, super gay, and it was like when Madonna was going into clubs and stuff, and all the supermodels were there, and it was like you could walk down the street holding hands, and there's drag queens, and everybody was you did whatever you wanted in the 90s. Lots of drugs,
Right.
Lots of partying. You were out till 6 a.m. a lot of times, and it was a great time. Now it is, and it's towards the late 90s, early 2000s, we've seen a change coming where we've seen a lot of people coming in, and, my apartment was so cheap in the 90s too. I think it was
it's wild.
$600 a month or something like that for a nice apartment, a block from the beach.
Right.
So, and now you can't even get a studio for $600, away from the beach.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing real quick too, that is destroying, P-Town and all these the fun, why are people not as fun anymore, to quote the great, that Sex and the City character, Lindsay Firestone, your Sex and the City girl.
Yes. That's her.
No one has fun anymore. Let's speak. Yeah.
She fell out the window, right?
Yeah, right. She falls to her death. But why is nobody fun anymore? Because it costs $3,000 to rent a studio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I went to P-Town and I stayed at the Brass Key, and I spent for 6 nights, $5,000. It's crazy.
We talk about it all the time. You could fly to Europe and have a trip there for the same price, and maybe even a little less than you spend on a week in P-Town during a busy time. It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I could stay at a Ritz-Carlton in London for $1,000 a night, so it's why didn't I do that? So, yeah.
It's wild, and it's this thing, and you're literally rubbing quarters together, you and your friends, to try and scrounge up enough money to spend 2 nights in P-Town over Carnival.
Yeah, it's crazy. When's the last time you went to P-Town?
Last Carnival, so 2024. I didn't make it this summer, being new to the Midwest and all, but definitely, with all that said, want to return next year. It's a magical place, and
you should definitely go. You should write an article, because I think it's it's going through such a big change now, and do it now, and tell Queerty that you need to go and experience it, and that it needs to be a business trip.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to pay the expenses for me to get my full enjoyment out of it, undoubtedly.
Awesome. Well, you were a great guest. Thank you so much for being on. I'm so glad we got to connect. You're exactly, you talked about exactly what I wanted to talk about. And, I think you cleared up some things that I've been thinking about and stuff. And it is what it is. I think you're right. Maybe I need to look for some new friends. So if there's any friends in Boston that want like a guy in a committed relationship that's monogamous, reach out to me, DM me, and I'm here. I'm fun. I'm a good
lead with that. You're more than that. Don't lead with that. Come on.
All right. What should my lead be? Be my wingman to find friends in Boston.
Famous podcast host. There you go. Worked for me. I spent some time with you here today.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm a famous podcast host, so come and be in my show, and I'll interview you as exactly to see you could be my friend.
People love talking about themselves. So I think that's a winner.
Well, you're a great writer, and I'm so glad I got to meet you and have you on my show. And I will put Alex's bio to his writing into the description of this podcast or video, whatever you're writing, and check out his articles. I think he's really fantastic, and he got me to I wanted him on my show because how great he writes. So thanks so much for being on, Alex. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Zach. Anytime.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave a comment on what you thought about Alex's interview. And also send him, I'm going to drop his X account in there and send him a DM. So thanks, everybody, for listening.